chief engineer in this room and may answer my question, but apparently there isn't. But thank you for all your
I'm definitely not a captain or anything like that.
Contribution. Okay, thank you, man.
But I do think that there should be a way to independently verify these distances. I don't know if I heard a step-by-step mechanism. I know you guys said that there's something on the boat. Is there something that is called that I could look into it?
I could give you a similar test that anyone could do.
To verify distance over water?
Not to verify distance over water, but I'm not sure. The distance over water is going to be it would have been a lot harder a long time ago, of course, but now with the recording systems we've got and stuff, you can tell what speed you're doing. I was doing 15 knots at 12:01. I was doing 12 knots at 12:06, and you can calculate your average. You wouldn't even need to. It would tell you what your average is. Your onboard system, so you could work out an average. But can I make this point? No one around the world says, the distances on our maps are wrong. No truck driver ever drove from San Diego to Santa Cruz and went, it cost me $120 in fuel, when the map says it's this far, it should have cost me $70 in fuel. That doesn't happen. So those distances on maps are correct. Okay? If you add those all up, all the distances, like say all over America would be a large enough country to do with, there'll be a convex shape to adding all those up. Those distances can't all be put together on a flat Earth. Facts.
No, on an AE map, I think that the coordinate system is a little bit skewed and warped a little bit. I do agree with that. But you guys said that it's the same thing on the globe too. You guys require all these corrections, all these magnetic declination corrections, all these latitude.
No. We're talking about physical roads that are laid on the Earth. If you
people want to fact check those.
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about physical roads that were laid on Earth, because the landmass.
That's what I was just talking about. Just a different thing. It can prove that it's not flat. Well, it was kind of similar to the boat thing in a way, but yeah, we can drop it. I didn't want to drag. I think you wanted to get back to the guy that was previously talking. So.
Okay, people fact-checked the roads in Australia, for example, and they time-lapsed it and videoed it and compared it to Google Maps, and they are objectively different. So you're making this claim that they're for sure the same. They're not. It's already been proven that they're not the same. And
can you present me with that evidence? Could you DM me with that evidence? That'd be great.
Yeah,
because I live in Australia, mate, and I've driven north, south, east, west several times, and there's nothing wrong with their maps, mate. So.
Okay, well, you're wrong though. So.
Yeah,
it's not that complicated.
Right. So where are you from? You've driven across Australia, have you?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're just wrong, mate. That's the argument. You're just wrong.
There's no, that wasn't the argument. The argument was there is documentation of someone comparing the roads on Google Maps to the actual recorded roads.
And you're talking to someone who drove on those roads.
Yeah, but did he do the same experiment?
Regardless, let's not get all dirty and over talking. But
that is irrelevant. Have you ever been to Australia?
The guy talking is his task got banned. If I don't see your evidence in my DMs, I'll assume it was a load of shit.
Okay, sounds good, man. As long as I don't have to add you or anything, right?
Careful about
that sounds.
You just made a positive claim accidentally. You let it slip. You let a positive claim slip out. Now provide the evidence.
Yeah, I already did. I had this conversation 2 days ago.
Oh, you already did. You already said
you have it. You have no self-control.
Relax.
I'm awake. You're half asleep, and you let a positive claim slip out accidentally. Now you got to deal with it,
buddy.
Now you got to deal with it.
Okay,
you got to own it.
Don't interrupt me.
Own it.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
Put down the pipe. Put down the crack pipe. And provide the evidence.
Where, Pete? You want to go there? You sure you want to go there, Pete?
Dude, you're a grown man, bro. Show some self-control. Okay, so
yeah, Australia maps don't work.
You can't do it.
Trust me, bro.
You can't do it, bro.
Trust me, bro. I saw YouTube video. Australia map. Fake.
Dude, talk about being a crackhead, bro. You can't control yourself.
Listen, you know who this is?
How's your passport? You got your passport?
You know who this is?
Yes, buddy. I've had my passport for weeks, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Put the coffee down, Peter.
You've had a passport. You're like,
he's spiraling.
At least in your 30s. You got your passport last week. Nice.
He is foaming at the mouth.
Nice, man. Congratulations.
I didn't say
What
anything.
else? Do you have your social security card yet?
Yo,
Wait, guys,
relax.
please let him do this. Wait, time out. Can you please let him do this for a couple minutes? Dude, I didn't say I didn't have a passport last week. Why are you lying?
No, you got it last week, right? Yes.
I've had it for a few weeks.
Oh, nice. How about your social security card?
Well, I've had that
You got
for years.
Oh, well, how many? 2?
Yo, what the
Okay, is that
No.
wait, time out. Even if I only had it for 2 years, is that like a burn or something? All right, look, I'm gonna try to make my point. Please calm down. Okay, I had this conversation.
Tell us more about Australia.
I'm trying to. I had this conversation a few years ago. I mean, a few days ago in Discord, right?
Oh, wow.
And the same thing happened. We had all these really cocky Globers, and they're like, prove it. And so I just went and gave it to them. Okay, so I do have it in my recent history. Okay, and of course they all just shut up, which is what's going to happen here. So
You gonna shut up, Pete, when he drops it? Probably not, but
Can I make a positive claim and see what you've got to say about it? Why does Dave's clock app in the friend finder use the haverside formula for distance between friends? I've been asking Dave for weeks. That doesn't respond to me.
the actual GPS system uses the spherical longitude and latitude coordinate system, and so most of the world largely operates on that
No,
coordinate
it
system.
doesn't. What a lie.
No.
What the fuck? Which you just say
GPS
shit,
uses
dude.
a
You just say
Cartesian
you got
shit,
a
man.
coordinate
sensor,
system.
Pete. Yo, Pete, you got
GPS uses a
hold on, Pete. You don't act like this nowhere else.
GPS uses a
Don't be coming to Flat Earth Fridays with all this weird ass energy, bro. Put your hand up, right? Because the moment that somebody do it to the globe Earth, you're gonna be tweeting up the story. Oh, Flat Earth Fridays they always steamrolling and all this other weird stuff. Relax. We know that you got history with Witsit. We know he packed you up a couple episodes ago. You remember. It's okay, bruh. You can respond if you want to without coming off mic fuming at the mouth, foaming at the mouth, fuming at the ears. Chill, gang, chill. I'll give you a chance to address him. Just let him finish. You don't have to send. Well, you do because you don't have a reputation. But when you want to try to challenge him, let him finish first, please.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'll just quickly make the point here, though. So, for example, this is like what McToon is doing. McToon is like his big test that he's gonna do in Antarctica. He's like, I'm gonna measure distances between longitudes. Okay, and he's like, on a flat Earth there should be this, and on a globe Earth there should be this. And someone's like, how are you gonna do that? And he's gonna use a laser rangefinder up to 1,500 yards, and he's gonna take out his GPS at each point and say, look, it matches the GPS, which means it matches the globe and doesn't match the flat Earth. This is very stupid. Okay. GPS uses a spherical longitude and latitude coordinate system. And in fact, to even develop that, they had to deflect the vertical of the initial measurements to match that system. Okay.
That's an absolute lie. Any person who's ever looked into GPS knows that it uses a Cartesian coordinate system with X, Y, and Z axis. Every position computed by a GPS system is a point in that Cartesian coordinate system. The map that you use is a globe, and it uses latitudes and longitudes. You're confusing two things. You're confusing the map on which we show you your position and how we calculate the position in three-dimensional space. Anyone who's ever spent at least 10 minutes looking into how GPS works immediately finds that. You're an absolute liar because you're not stupid enough to actually believe in what you just said.
Okay, don't interrupt me. You see how I didn't interrupt you? Okay. You just conflated two different things.
If I don't interrupt, you're going to
look at that, bro. You're like a child.
for hours.
Already chill, Pete.
Dude, I have a 2-year-old that is more behaved than this. Okay. On the local reading, you use a Cartesian coordinate system. That's correct. But when you're actually going to develop it through
what
the
is
system,
a local reading? You just made it up?
Buddy, stop interrupting me.
Can you guys just mute him? Just mute him so he can't talk.
You can't individually mute.
You can't. Yeah, that's the thing. He's taking advantage because he know he's about to get packed up, so he feel like he got a censor.
I don't know. This is my first time, but it's like arguing with my brother. Jeez.
Go ahead, Witsit. Hey, Peter, show a little bit of self-control, gang.
Okay. Whenever you get your individual reading, so that's a local reading. Yes, it actually uses a local Cartesian coordinate system, just like the military does for target acquirement, right? You start the central portion of the
What are you
Cartesian.
talking about? Why are you
Stop
bringing up military?
interrupting me, dude. Okay. So you actually used your local position and you start a Cartesian coordinate system with you at the center. And yet that's what we do all the time, even in the military for
So
target
that's how
requirement.
GPS
But
works?
when you're
It
actually
uses you
going
as the
to
center?
shut up, dude.
Peter, don't give up your mic, Pete.
It's
Don't give up
far
your mic, man.
simpler. It's far simpler than that, Witsit.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
He's completely
Pete, please
making
don't give
shit
up
up
your
just
mic.
to like buy time. He's just
Yo,
milking the
Peter,
clock by
shut
making
up.
shit
I
up.
don't care about your opinion if you don't respect anybody in the space. So don't give up. That's the last
Rudy,
time I'm
it's
going
the
to tell
first time you've heard him like make up
that's
stuff. He's
the
just
last
dropping. He's
time.
like
Hey, that's the
improvise.
last time. That's the
Making
last
shit
time I'm
up.
going to tell
Local
you. You interrupt.
Cartesian
Yeah,
coordinate
you
system with you
interrupt
in
me.
this.
You interrupt me. Hey, you interrupt me one more time, you're going to give up your mic. And it's pretty telling that you're this emotionally unstable over GPS.
Yeah, I don't understand why he thinks this makes him look tough. Like, Peter, you
I don't know.
to the corner of Discord to have your little shit show circle jerks. Like, you're not intimidating anyone over here. I don't understand why you think this is necessary.
He's like, oh, it's this on the mic. Growl. Chill, bro. Don't
It's
give up
necessary
your mic,
because the dude is making shit up as he goes.
Don't give up your mic. It doesn't matter what you believe, bruh. Stop interrupting. It's like he almost wants me to take his mic. He's like, oh, look, they took my mic, right? But I'm not taking it. You giving it up. So I'm telling you for the third, fourth time, bro. Stop. It's not that type of space. You know that. You don't act like there's nowhere else. You're doing this because this is a different platform, I guess, or something. Don't disrespect me like that, bro. I'm giving you every chance to stay up here. Do not disrespect me. That's the last time I'm going to say it. You will get a chance to speak. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt no other speakers. Unless they ask that you want to interject. If they confirm that, I'll let it go. If he's saying stop, you shut the hell up. If you don't do that and you do the opposite of what I'm saying, that means you disrespect me, you don't care about what I'm saying, and you're going to give up your mic. Pete Globinski, last time I'm going to tell you. Embarrassing. Chill. Stationary Saturdays, man. Wait, so now that he got everybody off track and everyone off the plot, please start from the beginning if you can. So we can get the sauce.
Okay, yeah. So he's saying I'm just making stuff up.
Elon mute.
Okay, I was actually just saying the same thing he said, so that's why I said it. He wants you to take his mic so he can claim he destroyed me and that you had to censor him. But anyway, you use a Cartesian coordinate system for your local position. So the initial reading, right? You get a signal. The initial reading is based on your local positioning. But when you're actually going to extrapolate that to a position on telling us where you are on the Earth, you're going to invoke a map that is on place of a longitude and latitude coordinate system objectively. Okay. So when you're going to tell me, hey, I'm right here in Australia, and then I'm over here in Australia, that runs through the longitude and latitude system. That is a spherical coordinate system. So if you use the presupposed globe model to actually tell you your supposed location, then turn around and claim that proves the validity of your model, that's retarded. Okay, that's the
No, the distance being
thank you.
correct
So
is the
hold on.
proof.
I'll treat him seriously for a second. So I'm in an unknown location on Earth, and to compute my position using the signal I receive, I need to know my position because I need to put the center of the coordinate system at my position. Those are your words. So either I know my position already, or the satellites, or whatever you want to believe, buddy, the transmitters are, they need to know my position to establish the center of the coordinate system at my position. This is what the bro said. And then from that, somehow, they're going to compute my position. You're an absolute, your IQ is at least 95, so you need to know that you're lying. Because no person with IQ of 95 or above cannot see the absurdity of the statement that you just made. So you're a liar. You're bamboozling your own audience, a group of gullible people on the internet, innocent folks that stumbled into this nonsense. All right. And as hard as you're trying to diversify away from flat Earth into your geostationary globe, which is your next move, buddy, we all see it coming. You're
stalking you, Witsit. You just confirmed it. You're stalking every moment.
Has to call you out. And you're in luck because I'm here today on Eastern Coast time and I had 3 coffees. So I'm here to call you out on your absurd nonsense that you're making. So wake up before you unmute, pop a coffee or whatever else you take, Adderall, and get real, okay?
These guys are obsessed. They take drugs to talk to Witsit.
I told him, drop the coffee, son.
That was so creepy and weird, but you didn't actually rebut what I'm saying. So it's pretty simple, right? You have a local Cartesian coordinate system. We use the same thing in the military for target acquirement.
And how did I not rebut what you're saying? I told you I'm not the absurdity of what you're saying.
Peter,
how can the system know your position to calculate your position?
Peter, I want you to stay up here so I can.
Oh, please keep me here. Please,
just calm down.
Please don't mute me. Don't mute me. Okay, so how did I not rebut your position when I called you out? Well, I called you out on your statement.
Did you watch that old episode?
System, both the receiver and the transmitter, to calculate my position needs to establish the center of the Cartesian coordinate system.
We need to get this guy some
my
decaf.
Position. Are you insane?
You done censoring?
How can you calculate my position by establishing the center of my position?
Pete, are you done?
To
Relax.
what would you be calculating my position?
Get off
to
the
itself?
mic. Wait.
What are you crazy? Are you nuts?
Peter, you gotta calm down, buddy. Okay, so
are you nuts? So if there are 2 people,
why are you still
you and I at different locations, then you establish the center of the coordinate system at your location, me at my location.
We gotta let him burn himself out.
I got you, bro.
Peter,
I got you, bro. I
already
know the position.
Bro. When you learn that,
get aggressive, Pete.
Peter, you're trying to act like acting like
the satellites have little eyeballs, and they can see you.
His phone right now.
So how do you think GPS works? Satellites.
He's in the bathroom screaming into his phone
on the Earth, and they go, "I know where he is. Let me establish the center of the
fair, if you had
system where
stopped
he is."
interrupting Pete, he would have been done by now.
No, he just added
You're doing the same thing that he's
No. We when he was talking about like the actual facts around,
he was letting him the same thing.
Then when he started crying, and censoring Witsit when Witsit started responding. Then we start clowning him for his emotional outburst. So that's not the same thing. Please don't misrepresent the situation. Everybody can rewind it back. We live right now. That's not the same thing. He stopped and relinquished the mic to Witsit, and Witsit began to speak, and then he started another emotional tirade, outburst. So we're clowning him for that. It's funny. You think that he deserves like time to keep on crying in the middle of somebody's rebuttal? You think that's an intellectually honest approach, Ron? Well, we see how you be tweeting. I probably can't even ask you that. But you know that you wouldn't accept this. You know if we said, hey, Ron, you go ahead and speak, and then somebody else had jumped in and just started crying, like you'd be like, yo, can you let me speak, please? Like, what's going on? You're running. So call your other Globe gangster guy out and tell him to chill out. Put the coffee down. Can Witsit respond, please, uninterrupted? Just like he did for you? And it wasn't even really your turn, Pete. Rahan was actually got his hand up, but you don't have no respect for him, so that's probably why that happened. Go ahead, Witsit.
Okay, so I actually already made a point that refutes his entire notion if he had paid attention, which is that on a globe, the actual vertical of your local position, so like establishing a plumb, it's actually deflected because it's only down relative to the center of the globe, right? So when we use a local coordinate system, a Cartesian coordinate system, it's 100% vertical. And of course, we have the horizontal axis as well. Okay, to actually put this through your model and give you a location on this supposed globe, you have to actually transform that over to a globe map. They use a spherical longitude and latitude coordinate system to do that. This is well known. Okay, you didn't rebut anything. This is just a fact. So again, if you're going to claim that GPS proves the globe, you're effectively saying that utilizing and assuming the spherical longitude and latitude coordinate system of my globe model to then tell me where I am proves the same spherical coordinate system I assumed. It is stupid. Very simple stuff. And again, I'll just repeat this. The way you know that is because you actually use a vertical that's perpendicular to the horizontal baseline. But of course, in the globe, that is a deflected vertical. It isn't even actually vertical. And of course, there isn't a truly extended horizontal baseline on a globe either. They get your local Cartesian coordinate system data. It runs through the spherical longitude and latitude coordinate system. That's all that it does. Doesn't prove anything.
Great. So the funny thing is, I
hold on. Let me just moderate real quick.
That
so
it
I want,
proves the
hold on,
globe. I don't care about it. I didn't even mention.
Hold on. I want you to respond, but in order to just make sure that this conversation is effective, can you just like steel man his position first, and then like refute it so that way? Because he keeps saying that you're not addressing his point, and I don't want to give you another chance to not address it if he feels like you're not addressing it. So can you just steel man his points that he's making so that way we know that you're responding directly?
I called you out on two absurdities, okay, that are
no. What I want you to do is steel man his
that are not
position
directly
first.
related to the globe. One is,
can Pete hear me? How does he have like the superpower with Elon? Stop giving the anti-flourish the superpower unmute. Can y'all make sure that he can hear me? Because I can't tell if he's strung, like, or if it's just Elon messing with it. Can y'all ask him if he can hear me?
Peter, can
you uses a local coordinate system? Let me finish.
No,
Peter,
don't let him.
Peter, Sacred, can you steel man with his position before you continue to monologue? So we know you're on the same page as he is, and you're not.
Okay, I could not hear him. Yes, I will steelman the position, and then I will say what I was trying to say. The steelman of the position is the GPS system uses a coordinate system specific to the globe, and therefore it's mapped onto the globe, and therefore by definition, and therefore it cannot be used to prove the globe. Now, I'm going to call out Witsit on the two absurdities that he stated earlier, from which he was trying to run away by diverting to the globe, the vertical, the horizontal, and a bunch of nonsense. The two absurdities are, first one that he claimed was that the GPS system, so both receivers and transmitters, use relative local coordinate systems centered, Cartesian, centered at the position of the receiver. That is completely absurd because the satellites do not know where you are, and you don't know where you are. The receiver doesn't know where it is. The transmitter doesn't know where the receiver is. How on earth could both be establishing the center of a coordinate system, Cartesian, at the location of the receiver? That's completely absurd on its own. It has nothing to do with the globe. It just gives you an insight into this brilliant mind that just came up with this absurdity. The second one that he stated was, in the Steelman, it's completely absurd, that GPS does not use a Cartesian coordinate system, an absolute one. It is documented in every single document describing how GPS works. More than that, it is contained in the code of every receiver on Earth, whether your phone, whether your smartwatch, whether your Garmin, whether your commercial navigation system has actual code that you could go and look at because you're a truth seeker, and you could see that it uses an absolute Cartesian coordinate system with a very well-defined center, and it computes your position in relation to that center. What you're doing is you're obfuscating and you're telling people about the next step, which is projecting that position onto an actual model of Earth, which unfortunately for you at the moment is a globe. But a few months from now, when you convert to a stationary Earth glober, you will be fully embracing this position. Mark my words. That's it.
Okay, those were both straw mans. Both of your 1 and 2s were just literal straw mans. I didn't say anything that you just claimed that I said, but that's what you have to do. And What I said is just a fact at this point where I'm just having to continually repeat myself, which is that you have a local Cartesian coordinate system. I know this for a fact because I've worked with Glovers while making observations, right? And we've actually mapped it out based on our actual GPS positioning with a local Cartesian coordinate system. Guess what? The X, Y, and Z axis extends from our position, our local position. Now, if a Cartesian coordinate system has a vertical, a Z-axis, and it has a perpendicular horizontal, right? That isn't how it works on the globe. So you're pretending that it's there for the entire Earth and then it's transformed. That's a huge problem for you if that was the case, but that isn't the case. And again, it gives you the local Cartesian coordinate system. They have to transform that over to a spherical coordinate system. Then you said, if you're a truth seeker, you could look into the data. The data has been looked into. Even a university went and tried to pull the raw GPS data. They saw was that it was making Sagnac corrections and then running it through the Sagnac corrections and then claiming that the data was raw, right? And they actually exposed it. They said, wait, this isn't actually raw data. It's already had corrections applied to it. And that's specifically the anisotropic nature of the signal, which directly refutes relativity, side note. So the point is that the actual data doesn't save you here at all. To actually conform with the globe, it has to run through a spherical coordinate system. And even McToon admitted this. Like, it's just so funny that you guys don't understand this very basic concept. Even McToon admitted that, of course, it assumes the globe, and that the Earth could be flat. You could just run it through this assumed spherical coordinate system and pretend that it's a globe. And then let me address the comment you've made a couple times now. We know that you're positioning to be a geocentric globe, mark my word. Okay, I'll mark your word. Would you like to bet on it? Would you like to bet 10K? Let's bet 10K. And I'm not going to come back from Antarctica and be a glober. There's just another lie that you guys keep saying. You guys are claiming, we see that you're clearly moving away from flat Earth. Is that why, like, and then you make, like McToon and FCE make videos that say stuff like, Witsit ditches flat Earth on Timcast, when in reality I debated flat Earth 3v1 for the entire second half of the show. And then they point out that I'm doing middle ground. They're like, see, you're just preparing to just be a geocentric glober. Buddy, I used to have, relatively speaking, I talked about geocentrism for years. Okay. So no, I'm not positioning anything. You're just making up some weird obsessive narrative, and what the sun does in the sky doesn't somehow refute or rebut empirical measurements that falsify the globe. So that's the take. And I'm not going to keep going back and forth where you just make up straw mans of how I'm saying GPS works. GPS, to actually tell you where you are on the Earth in your paradigm, it actually
cool.
gives you that information with a
Yes,
spherical
it does.
longitude
Of
and
course.
latitude coordinate system.
Of course, thank you. So let me quickly respond and then I'll shut up. So because I've had my passport for a bit longer than 2 weeks, I'm not going to take you on the offer to bet against something that you directly control. So pardon me for that. And the second thing I'm going to say, of course, in the end, the entire GPS mechanism projects your position onto the globe. Otherwise, we wouldn't know where the hell we are, because you guys don't even have any sort of model of the Earth that is usable. What you're doing is you're conflating on purpose, since your IQ is above 95, on purpose, you're conflating two things. How GPS system computes your position in 3D space, for which it uses an absolute Cartesian coordinate system. You're conflating that with what the GPS app, the navigation map, does with that computed position, which is projected onto the globe, which is the only true representation of Earth and locations on Earth. The only working one, that's for sure. I want to start the globe argument. It is the only practically working one, unless Dave Weiss here can create one that uses a Gleason map, all right? For now, that's the only one. So of course, GPS, sure, corrections, yes. Of course, GPS projects that computed position in 3D space onto the globe. That's how you're able to do your DoorDash deliveries every day, buddy. All right, but you're conflating that. You're conflating that with the previous statement, which how is the raw position calculated? And I'm not strawmanning you. You said multiple times, to the point that I had to interrupt you so you don't repeat it like the fourth time, that it uses a local Cartesian coordinate system. This is absurd, as I explained, because the receiver and the transmitter cannot know where to put that Cartesian coordinate system because they don't know where you are. How could they compute the relative position of you and your destination without knowing where you are? It's the whole point.
Let's break this down for. Let's
So
go back
you're
and forth. Can we
obfuscating.
go back and forth with a couple
You're
questions?
obfuscating for the audience.
No, no one's obfuscating. Okay, you invoked the Cartesian coordinate system. Okay, what is the x-axis on a Cartesian coordinate system?
It's a completely arbitrary axis. You can call it X, you can call it B, you can call it
what kind
gamma.
of axis is it though?
There is no kind of axis in the Cartesian coordinate
Really?
system. They're all equal.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So
You think that,
I'll answer
okay,
for
explain
you
to me,
since you
what
seem
is
to
it?
not understand. Okay. It's
Yeah.
horizontal.
No, there's no concept of horizontal in a Cartesian coordinate system.
Oh my God. So the x-axis is not horizontal. So then please describe it to us.
Of course not. Of course, in a Cartesian coordinate system, the axes are perpendicular to one another. That's all there is.
Oh, perpendicular. So what's perpendicular to vertical?
There is no vertical and horizontal in geometry in Cartesian coordinate system.
Earth?
You can rotate the Cartesian coordinate system.
Applying it to
What do you
Earth,
mean
you can
on
rotate
Earth?
it? Come on,
What do
Peter.
you mean on Earth? A Cartesian coordinate system is an abstraction.
You're
Has nothing
using it
do
to
with the Earth.
navigate on Earth. Let's stop with the nonsense.
But you can pick anyone. You could rotate it by 7 degrees, by 700 degrees, by 1,000,000 degrees.
You could.
It's
but we
completely
don't,
arbitrary.
so stop it.
You
Okay,
can
the
remap.
actual answer is that the
This is absurd.
x-axis is horizontal. Okay.
No, there is no horizontal.
Oh my God.
You can take, it's an arbitrary choice. Any Cartesian system is entirely arbitrary.
So which one are they using? Which one did they choose to
An
represent
arbitrary
horizontal?
one. Arbitrary one.
No. X, Y, or Z, bro.
Dude, have you ever gone to school and worked with Cartesian coordinate systems?
Which one is mapped to the horizontal plane on the Earth, bro? Which one?
None.
Okay.
How can you map a Cartesian coordinate system to a concept like horizontal? This is absurd.
It has to tell us the positions, right?
Yeah, why are you
but not the horizontal.
Okay,
a position is three coordinates in 3D space.
Okay, look, the military does the same. The military does the same thing.
Stop obfuscating with the military.
Listen, stop interrupting. The military does the same thing.
How can a point have a horizontal?
So look, when you're in the military, say the bad guys are over there, you want to get them, right? What they do is they actually develop a local Cartesian coordinate system. So you're in the center of the system. You're in the center of the coordinate system. And then you have right where you're standing, you have a vertical. Then you have the perpendicular axis, which is the x-axis, and it's horizontal.
You're talking about something completely else.
It's
completely unrelated.
Same concept.
No.
It's the same concept. So for you to claim that it somehow verifies the globe, right? You actually have to put it through the longitude and latitude coordinate system. You have to have a map based on that system to tell you what your location is, because guess what it gives you? It gives you a longitude and latitude coordinate. That's literally what it gives you. Okay. And again, what you're saying isn't even true. It's the only thing that works. Ha ha ha. No,
I'm not debating with you the globe.
They have to make corrections. They even have to make meridian corrections. So
my God, I'm not debating with you the globe.
Isn't it interesting that they have to make meridian corrections to tell you where you supposedly are on this globe?
What is interesting is you just revealed to us that you don't understand what a Cartesian coordinate system is, and you're conflating it with like 3 different things. You just associated the concept of a Cartesian coordinate system with the concept of horizontal. Let me ask you, a point in space that has coordinates x, y, and z, what's its horizontal? How can a point have a horizontal? How can a point have a vertical? What are you talking about?
How can a point be a Cartesian coordinate system?
It's not. It exists within it. It can be described
it exists
within
it. Okay, so let's take that point. Okay, is that point on a line? Is that point on a line?
Doesn't have to be. It's on an infinite number of lines. It's on an infinite number of lines.
Oh my goodness, yo, this is crazy.
Hang on, sorry. Yeah, I'll originally ask this question. It's just been fucking hijacked. Okay, I asked, why does it have the Haversine formula? Okay, your GPS tells you where the 2 points are on the map, right? And then your phone, right? Because the GPS only puts out 2 bits of data, 2 bits of information, where the satellite is and what the time is, and your phone calculates everything else. Okay, so the two phones, right? The phone beeps off and goes, "I'm here," and the friend finder app goes, "Okay, he's over there," right? And then the friend finder app says, "You're here," right? And then it calculates how far it is, right, between the 2 points.
Yeah,
and it
but this is not GPS.
it applies the Haversine formula to that distance.
That's not
inferring
GPS.
that there is a bulge between the two people. Please answer that question. Why does it use the Haversine formula
You're
to calculate the
confusing
distance
yourself
between
now.
the 2 points?
Hey, Glover,
you're
confusing
confused.
yourself.
You're
What you're
confused.
talking about, what you're talking about, Glover, is how you calculate the distance on a sphere between 2 points. You're confusing that with GPS because you're a consumer of a
My
GPS
question was
navigation
about.
app.
Hang on, Pete. My question was about the Haversine formula, not about how GPS works. Why is the Haversine formula in Flat Earth Dave's app? That was my question.
Okay, but that's not the topic of the conversation.
That was my question.
He was the one that brought it up.
This is how
Your
long it's
question has
taken.
been ignored.
I started the
and
question.
now-
I started the question,
Now
Dave.
Yeah, sure,
Okay,
good.
I asked the question,
Welcome
and it's
to
been going
Twitter.
on about GPS
Welcome
for
to
half
Twitter.
an hour.
Yes, welcome to Twitter. You asked a question, and then people rambled about something else. Welcome to Twitter. So what I'm doing here, I'm exposing Professor Witsit to the audience and showing them clearly he has no idea what a Cartesian coordinate system is. He believes that a point requires the horizontal and vertical. He further believes that a point must be contained within a line. And when confronted with me saying a point exists on an infinite number of lines, he doesn't even know what that means. So he is completely ignorant. In all his years of research and debunking the globe, he hasn't invested any time into learning basic concepts that are fundamental to all of his arguments. That's it. Now you can talk to him about the Haversine
I'm just going to
formula.
say one thing. I'm going to actually disengage with you because you're like clearly enjoying this way too much, which is why you're just constantly strawmanning, inflecting, and just posturing and enchanting and blah, blah, blah. A Cartesian coordinate system, okay, as applied, you have the vertical and you have the horizontal, okay? It actually intersects on a point. That's correct. So you have to have an x-axis. This is well known. This is why I brought up the military, because even when they do target acquirement in the military, they'd use this same type of system. They use a local Cartesian coordinate system. The actual person that is going to say, like, go attack the other person, go attack the bad guy, they're the center of the system. When the military is going to try to track down and identify a target, they don't go and use the whole globe. What they do is use a local Cartesian coordinate system with the actual military position that they have in the center of that coordinate system. Then, of course, you extend a horizontal out in all directions, 360 around you, and that is perpendicular to the vertical axis. Okay, that is the only thing that Cartesian coordinate systems would have anything to do with this at all. And I already explained I explained objectively. This is the truth. Okay, and you'll never acknowledge
Okay,
this.
thank you. Duly noted. I do
Peter, I'm not
acknowledge
done.
it.
Peter, you'll never acknowledge this because you guys always omit important pieces of information, right? But the actual GPS data, the output, requires corrections to even try to make it work on your globe model. You have to make meridian corrections and SAGNet corrections. You assume the actual longitude, latitude coordinate system on the globe projection to then supposedly tell you where you are. And this is a fact.
Not to
Okay,
mention
duly
the
noted.
deflection of the vertical, as you mentioned before.
All right, cool. Cool. Duly noted.
They make corrections.
Hold on.
It's flat. You heard it from Witsit. The GPS system makes corrections.
Okay.
I mean, it does, but it's still, you shouldn't require corrections if it was accurate. But hold on, I do want to make sure that Laz get a chance to jump in, and then with Holistic here.
Oh, I'd like to have 10 seconds, and I will disengage. 10 seconds. So duly noted.
9.
Duly noted. Thank you for the clarification. I want to retract my previous statement. You're not a liar. You're dumb as a bag of rocks.
All right, great.
All right. My turn.
We accept that concession.
My turn. All right, guys, the only reason I put my hand up, this is my first time on here. I just want to see if we could teach this guy how to put his hand up. Now, while I'm waiting with my hand up, all I did was every time he said absurd, which in the, the last rant, it was about 6 or 7. And then he starts You know what? I lost track. The problem is, dude, I do not question that you're a smart dude, Peter. You clearly sound like a smart dude. In fact, I'd have a beer with you, and just to argue with you because you're fun to argue with. But I agree with these guys. You are not listening, and the only thing that I say is, guys, the reason why he's not listening is it's like arguing with a homeless man. Okay, this guy doesn't even know where he lives, but he wants to argue, and it's fun to do, but it does not get you anywhere. So you know what, man? Like, hey, I like you as a dude. I think you should rename yourself to Peter Absurd. Keep coming here, because eventually you'll start seeing things, other people's point of views, and it will land. Like I said, I don't doubt you were probably a straight A student. You were probably telling off your teachers. And good for you, man. That's what you got to be to get to this point. But you have to learn how to, first of all, put up your hand. Any kindergarten kid knows this. I taught kindergarten for 3 years, right? It's very basic. Have respect for the other person, especially using people's time. Everybody's giving you your time here, and it's the most valuable currency they can give you. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
Appreciate that, lad.
yeah, he knows that though, man. He's been here a while. He's just an anti, and he's doped up on caffeine this morning, and he saw Wits on, and it was over.
Hey, Wits is the man. Wits has his wits about him, man. That's well done, bro.
Fact, that's a fact. Good analysis, bro. Let's slide over to Holistic. Licky.
Yeah, what's up, Sacred? This is a very entertaining back and forth. Mr. Siskidowino. So the problem when people have the mental illness like this, he does sort of touch on an important point, and it really goes back to Euclid and his axioms and the definitions. He's attempting to talk about physics while using this thing we call point, that which has no part, or which we have today, an undefined nothing. And then he's attempting to use an undefined nothing as a series of undefined nothings as a line in order to form shapes as a series of undefined nothings multiplied over and over and over, and then reify that into this thing he calls the coordinate system. And then, speak of things as if that is actual reality, which has already been reduced to number a million times over. You can't even defeat Zeno's paradox. So the entire confusion really lies in the fact that reality in all its infinite qualities is not reducible to math. And to speak of it as if you're saying anything by, speaking of the shape of your beautiful little child as a series of undefined nothings, that's why you're chimping out. That's why you're getting mad, because really it's not anything that is provable in this way. So that's sort of how I feel about it. I did enjoy the chimp out, though. He got very upset at me one time for asking him what the definition of mass was and if it was the same thing as weight. So I do appreciate him being in the chat, Mr. Peter. Please follow me back. Yeah, interesting exchange.
Funny as hell, bro. I'm crying. I'm still wiping tears.
I'm going to drop out. Thanks very much for having me. I'll just make the point that Witsit, you never addressed my question about using the Habersign formula. Thanks very much for having me, Sacred. Fun as always. Thanks, Andy. Peace out, guys. Take care.
Dave's app uses GPS system, as far as I know.
I will say I respect Ron for pulling up to Flat Earth Friday from TikTok. He one of the only ones.
Yeah, he came with good questions. He just got overrun by Peter. And Peter said people started talking about other things instead of just saying I started talking about other things.
No, Sacred, there is some new order going around, because I talked to P-Dubs, and he's saying some order from on high has come down for everybody to take 50 Adderall, drink 10 cups of coffee, and start smoking cigarettes, and just start yelling and screaming stuff. Because what they're accusing Witsit of is exactly what P-Dubs was saying to me the other day. And I never talked to him about any of this Antarctica shit. He's like, "Oh, you're backtracking and just the geocentrism. You're no longer a flat earther." I'm like, P-Dubs, I didn't say anything about that. I just called you gay and said you belong in a locker. And he started saying the same thing. So I don't know who these people are or what they're up to, but it is very funny how they're saying the same things nonsensically in unison.
Yeah, somebody probably brought it up in a group chat or something, or a little space one day, and they're like, yeah. And they've been.
This is gonna work. Witsit just laughing at him.
I need what Peter on. What woke him up this morning? I need what he on.
Yo,
I can't.
I could
Serious
get so
tomorrow.
much done on that.
He woke
They've
me
been
up. I
playing
don't.
with globers, or we're not real flat earthers before we even started talking about geocentrism. So I don't know what they want from us.
You need to ask him
I
about
don't
this
think we need coffee. We
new
just
globe
listen to
Earth
that
first.
argument in the morning. Wakes you right up.
Well,
What'd you
McToon
say,
started
Ken?
running. McToon ran the narrative that I'm going to a glober. That's why they're all just repeating it now.
Yeah,
Oh, is that where it
I
came
get
from?
that a
That makes
lot.
sense.
I get that a lot. I have people tell me all the time, "Oh, Sacred and Witsit are going geocentric globe, and you don't even know it." And
Wait, they
it's
said that
usually
about me
when you,
too? No
yeah, I
way.
forget who. I responded to somebody who said something like that. You went on Aries failure or something like that about the motion of the Earth, and they said, see how much they stay away from flat now? They're going geocentric globe.
Bro, we gave them 100 weeks of flat and they didn't pull up. And now, and how do we want to explore other physics and failed sciences in history? Now they want to say, oh, look, you don't want to talk about anymore. Bro.
Well, they lack the intellectual discipline to actually remain specific to the topic, right? Because motion is not specific to shape. So whenever they start just getting diced up on the motion, they just freak out and they need to start spewing their flat Earth scripts. So if you hold them to task and you're like, no, we're not talking about that right now. This isn't specific to shape. It's about motion. Then they've all like embraced this script where it's like, oh, well, then so you're conceding it's a globe because you can only have geocentrism if you have a globe. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? That's all that it is. But and then what Tune is doing is he's just largely ignored from my end. So he has to come up with these gay little narratives to try to have content at all. Because these people are so lame that no one would tune in just to listen to their opinion, right? They actually need to just obsessively talk about us. And so he's like, yeah, well, Witsit's sheep followers don't even know what he's doing, but he's setting them up to switch over to geocentrism because his grift is up and all this. And it's like just completely fake, obviously. So it's whatever. I think it's funny.
Yeah, while you're here with it, I sent you a DM. Some dude's got, I mean, it's your profile pic, your name, except then Witsit gets it. He changes the I and it to one. And he's even got your tagline, what is popular is rarely true, and what is true is rarely popular. I mean, it looks like your page, dude.
Oh,
he's
yeah, I
been
seen that
reported
too.
like 100 times, right? This has been going on for months. Normally he'll message you about crypto or something.
Oh, wait, he knows about it? You know about it? Dang, that's annoying.
Sacred, you've been doing this thing lately, and you're like an innovator, I guess, or something on the space. you were like, I don't know how you do it. You record someone and you go, wait, and you mute everyone, and you play them back what they just said immediately, and you're like, this nigga just said. Then you do the what sound effect. That was funny. I don't know how you do. You got to do like a space explaining how to do that because that is very persuasive when you play it back and they're muted and they can't say shit. So you get to like have an argument with them where they can't say shit. And I don't know. I think that's very.
Gotta force them to address it and acknowledge it. Can't just breeze past it, bruh.
Yeah. So you force them to address it by like, I don't know. This should be thought about. Persuasion in a lot more ways because that's more persuasive than having some guy yell. It is funny, but yeah, good stuff.
Hey, I put a link in the top. I'd like to talk about the images that are found there. I'm still on this image trip. Earlier, I was talking about whole shots of the Earth from far out satellites and telescopes, and then the corrections that are made. These, however, are not like that. These are straight on shots. This is the Mars ones, Mars Recon. So how do you guys feel about these images? Because I know a lot of people are like, we don't know what the planets are. They're just luminaries. They're just light. We don't know if they're solid, things like that. But they do have these images and many images like this. So what's everybody's thoughts on that?
Are these the black ones you referenced earlier? Because that was interesting. You were talking. I wasn't aware of all of the transforms they had.
Well, these are closer to that, but I'm sure they probably have some type of processing going on here too, but not like to the extent of like what they have to do when they're trying to present a curving sphere, from far away or from composite images. So these are just straight on shots. So there shouldn't be too much of that going on. But we see something physical there. It doesn't look like a light source. It looks like what we see on the moon, actually. So then it's like, okay, well, are they lying about taking shots of Mars, or are these real images, right? That's kind of like where I'm at with it. So I think if somebody can either disprove these, then that makes sense, but if we can't disprove these, then it makes sense that, Mars is solid. Just saying. I see this and that just pulled up.
And trying to open the link up, I don't see no images.
Yeah, I'm trying to see them too.
Uh-oh. Let me have to repost it or something, maybe. You have to click on stuff too. Let me see. Let me pull it up here to see what happens.
None of the drop downs work for me.
Well, let's say the best case, everything you're saying is like 100 times more, obvious than you're even letting on. Like, I don't understand. Like, even if that were the case, like before the Copernicus, like back to the Greeks, like nobody would have even dared say something so dumb as look up at the unknowable heavens, the luminaries, be like, oh, we can measure these things. We can look at a light in the sky and know what it is. Like, even if we can zoom in on it, there's like 100 trillion different objections you could take from why your perspective, why your visions could be erring, why you can't just presuppose this or that. Something like the arguments could be proven for anything. So I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a trite point, but just to look at something in the sky, even if it was a clear image, be like, oh, I know what it is because some like dumb bitch on YouTube said we know about the spectroscopy or something. Like, I just don't understand that.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, so from that perspective, I'm with you on that. From these images, though, for anybody who's checking it out, all you got to do is type Mars in the search bar and then just click search, and a bunch of them will pop up. So yeah, I just, if we're taking images of stuff, they're not exactly photos per se, but we know imaging is pretty accurate. So what does that say about what's up there? To me, it seems to imply that some of these things are either physical or they're lying about it all. So I'm sure some people will be,
you say they're images, not photos, which I get what you're implying, but that's a very interesting distinction, way to put it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all. And we go on to the next speaker.
Yeah, we kind of got like distracted. We were doing somewhat of a early morning listening party, and we totally got non sequitured out of listening to.
That was so funny how hot he came in.
Yo, seriously, we're gonna have to grab that replay, bro.
Yeah, I literally just tried to answer the dude's question. As soon as he heard me, he just like went wild.
Exactly. Like inside of his inner demons. Understandable though. This and that. What's up, man? Good to see you.
What's up, everybody? Witsit, why does everybody hate you?
That's crazy, man.
because I don't understand it. I don't hate you at all, man. I think everything you say is, it's not only your opinion, but a lot of it's backed up by fact. And apparently now you're going geocentrist. Is that is that what everybody's saying
Yeah.
now? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't even know. I gotta check with them so I can figure out what my position is.
Hate and love is very similar, by the way. Just saying.
It takes about the same amount of energy, but I don't know if it's the same thing.
A little creepy. It's a little creepy, man. I'm gonna
Yo,
express the love in different ways.
I was telling Kai, because I think it's so funny. I'm like, I've kind of kept this under wraps. I didn't like really kind of flaunt this too much. But now it's like there's just a few days before we leave, so it's gonna be canceled now or something. Everyone's been chosen, etc. I'm like, yeah. Flat Earth's dying. Remember, they say Flat Earth is dead. It's dying, and that's why at the end of 2024 we have Globers collectively spending almost $500,000 because the flat earthers just wanted to see something. And so they're spending $500,000 to take the flat earthers to see an observation that they claim is they already know is there, and it's pointless. And so the whole thing is funny, right? This idea that it's like hurting us. It's like, well, I mean, obviously flat earth's not too dead. If you feel the need to do something like that, to spend $500K to send some flat earthers to Antarctica. And here's the kicker, though. The funniest part is they're spending $500,000 to give Flat Earth the most publicity it's ever had. So thank you guys.
What is
Yeah,
what is you guys take? And I'm sure you guys have talked this to death, and I don't have an opinion either way. But if I were them and I was doing what they're doing, what I think they're probably gonna do, it's just like edit footage together from whatever happens, and just be like, oh, we won, and it like doesn't matter whether it is what happened or it didn't, and that might even end up being a good thing for like sort of what Witsit is kind of implying, that the publicity of the thing. But do you think that's what they think they're doing? Or maybe they even
No.
have one of these fake sun-like things in the sky. I don't know what sort of tech they have, but that's what I would do if I were them.
I think that they think for sure it's there, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible that it's there. I have no idea.
Or maybe there's some
So
sort of event that they know about, that, like some sort of strange eclipse that happens every certain amount of time. And it's going to be arguable that what they're saying is happening just due to some sort of like atmospheric, I don't know.
That's what
Yeah.
I said. Some type of atmospheric conditions that somebody out there just happened to see. They showed it to their globe Earth friend, and then that globe Earth friend sent to McToon, and then they found Duffy, and it just spiraled from there.
either way, I think it's just a huge win, right? Because they're going to be super salty when they find out that this whole narrative, me coming back as a Glober, it's not only not going to happen. I'm just going to be like, this is awesome, because now we know a phenomena we documented ourselves. So now when we come up with an explanation that works, we're like, dude, we're actually getting way closer to actually knowing what's going on, right? And a working thesis. So it's actually just going to help us. And it's like, if some really big platform wants to talk to me about it, that also helps us. So I just think it's funny. It's so funny that they're acting like this is some big victory lap for them, and it's not. So I just wanted to thank you guys. I wanted to thank the Globers. I really appreciate it. None of the flat earthers that are going have said that it like definitively proves the globe by any stretch. And only one of them has even said that they would step back and think maybe it could be. So yeah, it's tough for you guys out here. Pretty much all the flat earthers know we're just going to make an observation, which is what I do like the name here, the first examination, or even the first expedition or whatever, because we're gonna go, I guess, as far as we know, further south than like any flat earther has ever, right?
That's a fact. So you're welcome on behalf of the Globers. I want to say you're welcome.
Please don't go.
And
I have
there might
question.
be
Please.
there might be something here. Somebody made a point. Like, think about how long it took for them to prepare this, right? They've been talking about this for months. I personally think they've been working on the artificial sun. It's not easy to place an artificial sun. They needed a few months to prepare it, I'm sure. Otherwise, they would just go next week, right? After you got your passport 2 weeks ago, they would just say, let's go. But the sun is not ready.
Dude,
Hey,
Peter,
Peter,
buddy,
can I
your
ask you
side is
a
spending $500,000 to cater to a request of flat earthers and give us more publicity than we've ever had.
Anything for the memes, dude. Anything for the memes.
You guys can't meme,
Your
so
face on video, will be priceless.
they literally
It will be
can't
doing rounds on the
videotape
internet.
me, buddy.
Oh, that sucks. But maybe they will.
Maybe they'll be like do something illegal. Okay.
Yeah, maybe some random dude that did not sign any contract
They
with
have
you.
to sign a
Well,
contract.
you're in a public place.
Now, first of all, Antarctica's not considered just like a typical public forum, but
Okay, well, you'll take this to the court in The Hague.
First of all,
right?
what's
And
so
we will
funny
be
is
following
I know
your
what
adventures.
you guys all think that McToon's gonna do it because he told you guys that. And I would say, you guys acting like you're just so disgusted by grifting. You should be pretty appalled by McToon, who told us in private, actually laughing, that he had the money to pay for the trip. And then he went and told you guys he didn't. He needed you guys to donate to him, but then told us in private, like, he'll be able to cover it or whatever's remaining. It's no big deal. And then he told you guys that the reason that he needed to go is so he could document and promise he's going to wear a body cam and document me the whole time. He's not going to do any of that. So, I mean, talk about getting finessed.
Well, now that you have your passport, you'll be able to travel to the Netherlands, to The Hague, and argue your case in the international court.
That's not how it works, buddy. It's very simple. I can sue them, and it's not even
at The Hague, right?
No.
Yeah, because it's Antarctica. Remember, the U.S. has no jurisdiction over it.
No, actually,
it's not where the contract was signed, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And so in the contract, it's specifically.
Well, I just said, what if it's a third party? What if it's a third party that takes a picture of your pretty face staring at the 24 sun?
Yeah, like, what is this?
What did they take with this picture?
So what did you pay to take pictures of Witsit, Peter? Just out your sources.
And just so you know, I'm just going to be smiling anyway.
I can't. I'm not allowed to.
I'm just going to be smiling, bro. Like, if I see the sun do that, it's not even going to faze me. This is the funniest part of the whole thing. Like, it's like, you guys, it's just funny, bro. Because, like, I'm just going to smile and laugh and not even care and be like, okay, now we have another observation point. That was cool. I got to do what less than, like, 0.00001% of the world gets to do. The first stamp on my passport is a trip to Antarctica. It's like, okay, cool, bro. Thank you, guys. One more thing. We're going to have a flat earth documentary, buddy. The Hollywood producer that's making the documentary, which we have final cut on, is a flat earther. This whole delusional dream of your guys that we're going to go down there and there's going to be this hilarious hit piece that humiliates us is nowhere close to coming to fruition. It's going to be the opposite of that. So I know.
Sure, it will be another Bob moment. Thanks, Bob.
How's it going to be another Bob moment?
You'll see.
Okay, see, and that's what I'm saying. They think. I just want the room to know what's going on. They think because they're like so toxic and stuff, right? They think that they've deceptively tricked us into being able to be recorded, and they think McToon is going to wear a body cam. They think that McToon's going to wear a body cam and record us.
You weren't tricked. You were shamed. You were shamed into going.
What? No,
not tricked.
Buddy, as soon as I received the email in private, I said I would go. What are you talking about?
You were publicly shamed into going.
That's a lie.
To maintain your truth-seeking LARP, right? You're LARPing as a truth seeker. You're shamed into going.
That isn't true, though, because I was actually told about it before you guys even knew it existed in a private email, and I agreed.
He took a break and caught another espresso.
Everybody was telling you not to in the beginning. I thought I remember that too. So everyone was like, "Nah, don't do that. They're gonna get you." So
yeah, he was shamed into it.
Why do you keep saying that? I just rebutted that. I talked about it before you guys even knew it existed.
There's nothing to rebut. I'm telling you my opinion. From observing this whole theater on both sides, you're shamed into going into, and they're doing this for the memes. It's obvious.
We hear your opinion. You have to repeat it over and over and over, Mr. Peter.
Well, I'm just calling him out. He's used to the fake debating.
Yeah, go
Mr.
ahead, AR. Go ahead, bro. We
Mr.
tired of hearing Peter's bias.
I have an expectation. It maybe looks like far fetched, but it is possible. So I am asking you, Austin, do you have any control on the airplane?
What do you mean? I think we should be able to. I
Expected.
should we just walk around as we want to. It's going to be largely empty.
Yeah, you don't have. I mean, you don't have any control about what is the plane. Do you know the plane model?
Yeah, I do know. I forgot what it is, but it's huge. It's like a huge commercial plane.
A5, the Galaxy, the military one.
No. It is a commercial plane with windows. It's huge.
757.
Yes.
Yes, 757. And you don't have any control about how high it can go. So what I am expected, my expectation is that maybe, because if you watch the high jump, the whole documentary, I don't know it is a high jump or the deep freeze, one of two, that Admiral Baird, he go far away and he come back and he tell the story about the land which is nobody touch it. Anyway, if the plane is high, it can go 70,000 feet and take the stream and go far to another area with another sun.
Okay.
Is that possible, or it is
I don't
very?
know. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, I guess anything's possible. And I guess the sunspots would have to be identical to the ones we see here.
Because they choose the time. I think they choose the time, and the money is huge. So if they don't faking sun is impossible. Faking sun is impossible for somebody study for 10 years all these observations. So I think this is possible. This is a possibility, and I really want to hear your honest, clear opinion about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they could pull that off, but I guess anything's possible. One thing I think is going to be really cool is that we're going to get to film on the way out the window. So, I mean, we're going to get to film a giant ice shelf, right, as we approach Antarctica, and we're able to make long distance observations from the plane. So, I mean, obviously, we can try to cross-reference that the best we can. I don't think we're going to be flying at 70,000 feet once we get to Antarctica. I don't think we're flying that high at all. Anyway, so I don't really know for sure, but hopefully it's just not too cloudy. And when we come in, we can get good shots, of the actual land as we're approaching.
Thank you, Mr. Witsit.
And I'm gonna vlog the whole thing from like packing to landing back. So, and then we may be able to live stream. I've already kind of got it set up with a few people that if we can, then I can call into their shows if I want to, like with big platforms. So it's obviously up to us if we want to do that in the moment. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's kind of cool. I didn't think it would happen for sure, but it looks like it's going to. So yeah, cool stuff. Oh, but I will say, I don't know if you guys want me to do this right now, but someone asked me last night. It's funny because I fell asleep. I told them I will answer you, but I just want to answer it once. But it's up to you guys if you want me to, because it'll take a couple minutes for me to kind of fully explain it. But the question everyone is asking in general is like, why did I decide to go? And that Duffy seems super sketchy and he's up to something and he has something up his sleeves. And clearly they think they know something and they're not being honest and they're being misleading and blah, 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 But yeah, so everyone's seemingly asking me why I'm going. And I would think the answer was pretty obvious, but I'll just say it really quickly, I guess. But so for one, and I kind of just alluded to that, right? Which is like, well, I mean, the narrative itself is hilarious that they said flat Earth is dying, yet they somehow needed to spend $500,000 to quote unquote debunk us. in almost 2025. That's how dead flat Earth is. So obviously, it's actually bigger than it's ever been. It's going to get us on bigger platforms and more publicity than we've ever had. And even if they just try to exclude us in their little media tour, everyone seems like, but wait, what about the flat earthers were there? What are they saying? I want to hear them. And I already have connects that I can pull to get on different platforms to discuss it anyway. So normally we're censored and misrepresented and not allowed to speak. And then normally we're put in a hit piece like Behind the Curve, where people like Peter still bring it up, when the people that actually made it are in writing admitting that they deceptively edited the entire thing and that it was a misrepresentation, that they intentionally made it a hit piece that wasn't actually representing what happened or who was in the film, but that they felt they had to do that because they went to the conference and saw that children were there. So they've admitted themselves that that entire movie was a hit piece and it was a misrepresentation. And so then when we sit here, while people on Netflix gets millions of views, we sit over here censored on our platforms where Jaren's been trying to correct the record for years, but obviously no one ever actually hears it, right? So that's how it normally goes down. And this is entirely different. This is, they can't even use us without Final Cut approval. They actually aren't even supposed to be filming this at all, except for this one flat earther that makes documentaries. He can film us, but he's not allowed to use any of it unless we have Final Cut approval. And we have to put that in writing. But of course, if they like somehow pull out and so they're not going to sign it, well, guess what? We'll pull out of the trip, and that's not going to happen, right? They're not going to let that happen. So, anyway, so on that end, it's just a super positive thing, right? Because they always want to make flat earthers look crazy, and then they highlight like the way Mark Sargent was acting and paint him as like the stereotypical flat earther that's like single and alone and living in his mom's basement or whatever. This isn't going to be like that at all. This is going to be an actual flat earther, and that means that all eyes will be on this trip. All eyes will be on the conclusion. If there's a documentary, everyone's going to want to see it. But unlike Behind the Curve, it's going to actually have like a real representation of our position. It's going to actually come from the perspective of a flat earther. Do you see how hilariously ironic and rich this is? They thought they were going to go down there with like Tune and humiliate us and make a video that is going to be Behind the Curve 2.0. That's what they're all hoping for. And Peter still thinks it's going to happen because that's when you mess up. You believe people like Tune, and if you haven't learned that he's incessantly lying and slandering people, then whatever. But he's going to really let you guys down, I guess. But it's actually a beautiful thing because imagine the whole world looking at this or wanting to see this, and instead of like strawmans, it's actual flat earthers. And he asked me a question, and I break down the significance of geocentrism and how you have motion and you have curvature, right? And we just still man the whole position. They don't want the world to see that, and they're kind of trapped now, right? They're trapped now with the person making the documentary. So that all that said is like I kind of knew that would happen, not the documentary, but I knew we would get on big platforms. They would be the most publicity fighters ever had, and I knew that I'm not I'm not ignorant enough to think that this singular data point, the singular observational data point of like a celestial phenomena somehow dismisses and refutes like the preponderance of evidence that has already brought us to the acknowledgement that the Earth is a stationary plane. So I'm like, this is a huge win. Like, yeah, ask me about the anarch sun, and I'm just gonna like, well, the falsification of the radius value, the second law of thermodynamics, battle of the beams, electric field distribution. Like, it's just a win for us. So that's
So
like the meta of how I viewed it.
Consider a point from someone who couldn't care less about this whole situation. Consider this. This is not going to end flat Earth. The only purpose of this is, and I'm looking at this from the outside, it's a meme. Some guy who has quite a lot of money has decided to meme on flat Earth by taking a bunch of grown men who have convinced themselves that the Earth is flat and who has also convinced themselves that a observable phenomenon that has been seen by thousands of regular people. You cannot claim here exclusivity to astronauts or something like that. Thousands of regular Joes who go and work at the Antarctica station, every year, mostly during the summer, by the way, because that's where the population of Antarctica increases during the year. Thousands of regular Joes that worked at the cafeteria, that work on the plumbing, that maintain the electrical system. have observed the 24-hour sun. Everybody knows it happens every year. But we take a bunch of grown men who think the Earth is flat and who think that the sun sets in the south, take them there on a trip. We pay for them. We accommodate them as much as we can, and then we take photos and videos of their silly faces, their open mouths when the sun is in the sky. Something that nobody in the world questions, but a few internet cowboys who are trying to make a living out of this grift. This is the purpose of this whole thing. It's not going to disprove flat Earth. I have no doubt that you guys will believe in flat Earth no matter what.
Oh, well, just an
It is
hour
so
ago, you said
absurd.
you knew that I was going to move away from flat Earth.
Sure, because I wanted to meme on you. But this
Oh.
is so absurd. Flat Earth
can't
is so
meme.
absurd. So empirically verifiable to be false.
That's not even true anyway.
That the
He
people
said,
who
mark
believe in
my
it,
words.
the people who
Mark my
yeah,
words.
sure. The people who believe in it, the people who believe in it will continue to believe it, no matter what.
Okay, yeah. And like,
Everybody
you're
who has
projecting though, because you're going to continue to believe the mainstream model despite the fact that we've absolutely
everybody.
eviscerated
Yes,
it.
yes. Me and 8 billion other people. Yeah, I know. Call us
Okay,
crazy.
nice,
But
dude. Good
you,
argument.
sure. I don't want to debate with you. I'm not debating with you. I'm
So would
telling you
you?
what
know
the
you
purpose
don't.
of
Wait,
this
I know
let me
you
ask
don't.
Peter. Let me ask you a question, Peter. So you would have been just as confident in geocentrism a couple hundred years ago, since everyone you would have just said name the amount of people in the world and said like they all agree with me. You would have been just as confident.
Sure, and I
So you
also
would
know that
always be retarded.
geocentrism and heliocentrism are dead.
But do you realize?
You're the one who provides this whole
No,
dichotomy.
do you realize the
Yeah,
point though is
doesn't
that
matter.
the way that you approach
Sure,
the way
I
that
do
you
realize the
approach your
point. Yeah,
conclusions is retarded.
yeah. Now let's talk about how you were shamed into
Peter,
going, so you
Peter,
become
I
an
can
internet
swear.
meme.
I can
That's
swear
the only
you are
outcome.
ignorant.
The only outcome
Believe
is
me.
memes.
Would you have been
Okay,
pro-slavery?
there's
Believe
no
me, Mr.
Would you have
Peter.
been pro-slavery in the 1800s?
would you have been pro-slavery 3,000 years ago?
No.
Okay, so you will become an internet meme. This is the only purpose of the trip. The only reason why those people are paying the money to make you some random guy from out of nowhere with zero
You can hear the disdain in his
zero
voice. How
credentials
upset he is.
and zero
He's
accomplishments. Zero accomplishments. The only reason why they took a guy with no accomplishments whatsoever is because you're an internet personality in the
Seriously,
corner
Mr.
of the
Peter,
internet.
do you have to
In the
repeat,
shut up.
repeat?
In the content of in the corner of in the far corners of the internet, beyond all the porn, beyond all the
Drank 3
QAnons,
cups of
beyond
coffee
all
just
the
to say
I
this.
hear you.
vaccine
I,
anti-vaxxers, sits you in the very corner, a little internet cowboy who thinks the earth is flat,
please,
and they're
Mr.
going to make a
Peter.
meme out of you, and that's all
But
there is to it.
look how focused
Dude,
you
Nothing
are on
else.
it though.
I gotta
It's not
say,
a
this is just
scientific
sheer.
expedition.
Peter, you just went on and on about me. Shut up now. Okay.
Can you imagine a bunch of people going to their university
Peter.
asking for a grant to check if the sun sets in the south?
We
They would be
hear
laughing.
you.
Okay. So sheer projection, right? Some nobody that no one knows, some random person just in the corner of the internet, some internet cowboy. You're literally describing yourself, like literally, right? and that's all that was. That was just projection, but
I'm
it
not
doesn't
an
matter.
internet personality.
No,
You
You're
are.
not a you're not a good one. You're not a good one.
Yeah, you
No,
desperately
I'm not.
want
I'm zero.
attention,
I have
but
zero presence. I have zero presence.
his
yeah, no,
point.
I don't
you
even.
desperately want one, and this is the funny
No,
part
I don't.
about
I
it.
just want to
If you
embarrass you
didn't,
in front of your
okay,
own audience.
so you're a sadist. Are you a
A
sadist?
sadist? No, I just like to embarrass internet cowboys.
Okay, do you know what sadist is?
Yeah,
Do you know what sadism is?
a follower of Marquis de Sade.
Okay, can you define sadism, please?
It's someone who engages in the practices of Marquis de Sade.
What? Okay, it's someone who finds enjoyment through the humiliation of others.
You don't know
Okay,
who Marquis
and
de
so
Sade is, okay?
it's no, but it doesn't matter. This is the point, right? It's actually a sociopathic tendency, all right? So you're actually kind of crazy. So it's like all this posturing and stuff doesn't mean anything to me. Like you have to be such a morally bankrupt individual to think that like to find such enjoyment out of trying to humiliate other people that you obsessively
I didn't
stalk them
orchestrate
and
this. I'm just telling you what it
you
is.
obsessively stalk them and then you do it for years and years and
I'm
years.
just
It means you're
telling
actually
you
so
what the final
hey
experiment is
buddy,
about.
you're not going to be able to censor this. It is an actual sociopathic characteristic. And a lot of you guys are also narcissists. Okay? You lack empathy and you are narcissistic and sociopathic sadists. Now, to be honest, I just feel bad for you because we were talking about like Germanic medicine yesterday. This kind of behavior is super, super bad for you. Like it'll actually manifest as disease, incessantly being deceptive and misrepresenting and lying and slandering and all that. There's this guilt and shame in that type of behavior that you're suppressing. It'll manifest as a disease. And that's like coming from a super sincere place that you should consider that behavior. All that aside, though, this is the truth, right? You guys have desperately tried to keep you like the fact you're bragging about us being in the corner of the internet is just appalling. Like you're basically pro censorship because we don't just have low numbers because no one cares what we have to say. That's a lie. Flat Earth exploded until the big daddy government came in and shut it down, right? And so you're basically putting your chest out and bragging about that, and that's super lame. But unfortunately for you guys, we've now used your side to trick the system, basically to glitch it out, and we're going to break through it. Okay, we're going to break through it. And now you guys are going to have to sit in the corner like Mattoon does when he copes and seethes and watches me on the big shows, and you just feel helpless. There's nothing that you can do about it because you're going to watch me tell the world about the truth about geocentrism, how it's been suppressed, about how all kinds of deception regarding even the known land masses and the alleged curvature of the Earth, all the fakery of space, all the fake film and propaganda that they put out to us from the ISS. You're going to have to sit there watching me get to tell the entire world, millions of people, the very information that you guys have proactively tried to suppress and misrepresent for years. So you should actually
Buddy, I
mentally
can't
prepare for
wait. I
that. You should
cannot wait.
mentally prepare
I
for that,
cannot
buddy.
wait.
I want to
I
add
want you to be
about
on national television. I want you to be on the Morning Joe.
Cool. And I'm going to start
just
with,
1 minute.
interferometry friendships based on the orbital velocity is inconsistent with the actual replications, even by Dayton Miller, which have been replicated and show a correlation between periodicity of solar motion.
You popped your Adderall, didn't you?
And I'll point out that the actual original
Yes, you
claim of
did.
orbital. I'll point out to the actual original claim of orbital velocity
How
being
many
a
did you
causal.
take?
I don't
No
take drugs.
reputation. You're the one on
Yeah.
drugs, Peter. Relax.
That the
On drugs with
actual
no
orbital.
reputation. Go
The
ahead,
claimed
bro.
causal.
This is what it sounds
let
like
me
when
make a
somebody knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, the claimed causal mechanism of orbital velocity, right, that actually causes stellar aberration has been directly refuted because whenever we introduce an additional medium and actually slow down the light, which of course, based on the two velocity components in the equations, should proportionally increase the angle at which this light actually came to the Earth, well, we discovered and definitively proved it wasn't actually orbital velocity that was causing that angular displacement, therefore definitively refuting the notion that we're moving and that the Earth is moving. And so when we now step back, we're like, oh, wait a minute. The claim that the Earth's orbit is sun has been directly refuted, which now has drastic implications. It means that the Earth's in the center of the universe. And that means, oh, this place was created. Who put it there? And you guys are going to have to just watch it, And so there's no rebuttals to that because I've been seeking out every PhD I can find for 5 years. You guys got nothing. I've looked through every academic resource available. I've talked to every single academic quote unquote expert that's accessible, and you guys have no answer. And so you guys have been able to utilize this big state and this big government system, big media to suppress it and misrepresent it and then hide us. And now that day's over. Truth always comes to light. So, now that's the last thing I'll say. That's actually why you guys are pushing this whole I'm switching to geocentrism narrative so hard, because you're actually angry at the fact that now, as much as you've tried to keep that hidden, right? Now it's over. You're not going to be able to hide it. You're not going to be able to do what Professor Dave did and what Mattoon did and said, okay, I'm willing to talk about geocentrism as long as you can see it's a globe. It can only be geocentric if it's a globe, and just hide it and avoid it. But this has nothing to do. I'm here to talk about flat Earth, and then always deflect and obfuscate to, well, how do eclipses work on a flat Earth? Now you're not going to be able to hide it from people anymore. Okay, so your time is up. The world is now going to learn that we were lied to about cosmology, that the Earth is actually special. The Copernican principle is bunk. And there's nothing you can do to stop it because you guys have had 5 to 7 years to actually develop some type of substantive rebuttals, and you guys got nothing. So now time is up. Now we're just going to watch the world. And now all these big talking heads, they're going to have to address it. Right. And well, that's really bad news for them because they can't. So any debate on a public stage like that is extremely beneficial to us. So Peter,
I
I
think
just
the,
want you to
the
know what's
globe is in
happening.
trouble. Yeah, the globe is in trouble, man.